Okay. Good afternoon, Mercedes. We can start now. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Veterans Advisory Board public session. Thank you so much for being in the room. So many of the veterans here, and we're going to acknowledge those that are in the room. And thank you so much for those who are online. This is really exciting. All the student vets that came out, just a little housekeeping. I guess the bathrooms and everything is outside that door. And then we have some refreshments over here for you. Make sure that you indulge in those as well. We have some board members that are in the room. And we just thank everybody for coming out for this VAB, Veterans Advisory Board public session. Our next Veteran Advisory Board public session will be held in the Bronx. So we're going to let you know what university or college that we're going to be at, because we want to engage our college veterans as well so that we can help them and give them information about the services and DVS and all those things that the VA and all these other community-based organizations have to offer. My name is Wendy McClinton. I am the chair of the Veterans Advisory Board. I'm also the president of Black Veterans for Social Justice. At this time, I'm going to ask the board members that are first in the room to go to any mic and introduce yourselves and say some words to our hybrid body, and then we're going to move to those that are online.
You're muted on the actual video, so we can't hear anybody if they're speaking on the mic.
How about now?
There you go. Yep.
Am I okay? Yep.
You're good, John.
Very good. Thank you.
But once you bring the out over the airways, you bring them on.
Just remember on this group, the Veterans Advisory Board, probably one of the longest serving. Vietnam veteran. I was national president of Vietnam Veterans of America. I'm a lifelong Queens person. I went to Queens College. This is the first time in York. I also went to Hunter. But anyway, thank you all for coming out tonight. And it was glad to see some of the Queens folks represented both here and on our screen. We look forward to listening to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good evening, everyone. Andrew Walcott, member of the Veterans Advisory Board, representing Brooklyn, lifelong Brooklyn resident by Barbados to some degree. Brooklyn College graduate as well. Been on the board about almost 3 years, I would say. It's been a pleasure to be here, and probably my first in-person meeting, to be honest with you. So I'm trying to catch up now, but I'm glad to be a member. Thank you.
Okay, also in the room, and before I bring him on, but in the room, we also have Miss Stanley Richards. She is with the National Association of Black Military Women. Would you like to come up and have some words and greet us, please?
Good evening, all. My name is Stanley Richards, retired major from Good evening, all. My name is Stanley Richards. I'm a retired major from the Army Reserves. I'm actually the vice president of the National Association for Black Military Women, New York chapter. And for the national, I am the vice president of military affairs. This is my first time here. And
Won't be your last.
no, it won't. I'll be here all the time.
Thank you. We also have in the room Miss Amira Maria Mills, Disability Accommodation Specialist and School Certification Official for York College. And we're going to ask her, yes, and we're going to ask her to come and introduce herself and have some words as well.
Good evening. My name is Amira Maria Mills, and I am the school certifying official here at York College on behalf of York College Veterans Affairs and Mr. Larry Eaton, who could not be here today. I just wanted to welcome all of you and hope that you make York your home away from home. It would be great to have you guys back anytime. This is more than a pleasure for me. It's an honor to serve you vets like my dad and my grandfather and all of my uncles. So I welcome you to York College. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We also want to have and recognize Craig. Oh, man. Craig Caruana from the Council Member Holdings Office, who is on the line. Craig, would you like to have greetings?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. The Councilmember Holding is the chair of the Veterans Committee of the City Council. Couldn't be here tonight, but I will be on the whole time. And whenever you think's appropriate, Wendy, I have an update on just what we've been working on in the City Council as well.
Okay, great, great, great. And well, while we have you, would you like to give that update now?
Sure. So we've had several hearings. One of the hearings probably most, I guess, topical for tonight was our hearing on veteran students at CUNY and trying to improve the CUNY system for veterans, everything from recruiting more veterans to making sure veterans have a positive experience at the college. There's also several pieces of legislation that we've introduced and working to get passed. Several of them have actually got a hearing, which is good. One is to have every community board across the city have a veteran subcommittee. So this could be, the kind of first go-to place for veterans, who recently transitioned into a community. There'll be actually a permanent member of the community board looking out for those veterans. There's also a bill that we got a hearing on, which would allow you to identify as a veteran when applying for a contract from the city. This is something a lot of the veteran advocates asked us for. So it's now laid over in committee, which means that should the speaker choose, we could call a vote, on both those bills. We continue to work with veteran vendors. Vending's been a pretty big issue for those involved in it. So we do have dedicated reps at DCWP and DOH that speak with the vendors regularly. That does not say there still aren't really big challenges, but there's at least been some progress in the communication between the city and the vendors. At our office, we now have a dedicated veterans rep from DVS on site about twice a month. So that DVS rep is a VA certified benefit specialist. So she can help out with your VA benefit cases and really connect you with any city service. It's proven very popular. I think we've had like maybe 30 or 40 veterans come through so far in about 3 or 4 visits. So it's definitely making an impact in our district. And I do know a few other council member districts, they do this as well. Their council member offices effectively become a veteran resource center. So all this is posted on our social media. I encourage you to check it out if you're in the Queens area, or if you don't have it, call your council member. And this is something you could request from your council member as well. Ask for a DVS rep to come out because it makes the experience of the veteran, a lot smoother, right? If you just have to walk a couple of blocks to your council member's office as opposed to traveling into Manhattan or wherever else you have to go to get services. We continue also to push for member designated initiatives for veterans in the budget, meaning every council member would get a designated amount of funding to give out to veteran organizations. So that's kind of ongoing. We asked for it last year, we didn't get it. We're hoping to get it this year because that would expand the types and the type of work we could do with city funding. One of the challenges we found in our district is we still have active VFW halls and American Legion halls, but the discretionary funding that they're eligible for limits what they could do. One of the things they can't do is upgrade their property. This would, we think, allow that to happen if we got a member designated initiative. Another thing we're trying to do to help out American Legion halls, the VFW halls, we did introduce legislation that would waive, that would create a cure period so that fines could be waived if you have damage to your building. So assuming your hall doesn't have an immediate safety concern, there'd be a 120-day cure period to get up to speed before any fines kick in. And again, part of the problem, a lot of this infrastructure is aging. It's hard to raise, it's hard to raise $5,000 or $10,000 sometimes for a small organization. So we're trying to help out however we can. And there's ongoing conversations on how to assist VFW and American Legion halls. Continue to work with DVS on a variety of topics. And I think that covers it. I'll be here for the full meeting. So if anything pops into your head or you have any questions you want to ask, by all means.
Thank you so much, Craig. I think that one of our board members, Todd Haskins, had some questions for you.
Sure.
Thanks, Wendy. Hi, Craig, and one, thanks for your attendance and focus here. As you know, we've had somewhat limited focus and engagement, I think, in the past, so I really appreciate you being here. A couple quick follow-up questions. One, definitely applaud you guys looking into the efforts at CUNY and supporting the veterans population, particularly around transition and also around sourcing veterans. If you recall, in each of our reports for like the last 7 years, we've highlighted that Veterans on Campus is probably the most cost-effective mechanism of really supporting the city. I think at last estimate, it was about $250 million of value through VA funding and GI Bill funding that comes into the city as a result of the students who are in school. One of the things that was quite distressing a year or so ago, and I'm curious if you have an update, is there was a precipitous drop in veteran attendance. I think it was on the order of 20%, which was higher than the drop in overall attendance at all of the CUNY systems, not just CUNY specifically. But I'm curious if you guys have an update on that, and if there's been any. I know you mentioned there's some efforts on outreach, but curious if there's been any success of that, because if 20% is the right number, that makes that $250 million of economic activity in the city, and literally true transfer payments from the federal government to our city. It takes it down by 50 million to 200. So just curious if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that actually precipitated the hearing, and you're right. It was a significant drop that, we're trying to, figure out why. I think when we last left off in the hearing, we're trying to wait to see what the most up-to-date numbers are. Because obviously with the pandemic, the data from like 2021, 2020, 2021 probably is not reflective of where we're going, I think, because of the pandemic. But thanks for flagging that. I will follow up with CUNY tomorrow and just see if they have any, kind of like the latest update. Because you're right, that's not something we should let, it's not something we should let go. And I do know the DVS commissioner. I'm sure he'll speak to this as well, because I know he has a very active effort, or literally around the country, to recruit veterans to come to CUNY.
Yeah, that was one of our specific recommendations, which we're quite pleased that DVS followed up on or has made efforts to do. Again, just simple numbers at sort of a 10% tax rate or so. That's $20 million, which is over twice the DVS's budget. Now, I'm sure my numbers are wrong, but it's it clearly highlights that attracting veterans to the city just covers more than the DVS budget. So.
Right.
That's great.
They're trying to keep them here too. That's part of the, that was part of the conversation. That's how we get them here, right? They go to CUNY, they realize they kind of experience New York City for themselves, right? Not just what they're reading in the news, and they decide to make their life here. So, that transition, not just from the military to CUNY, but CUNY to becoming a permanent New York City resident, is something we're constantly just trying to think about. Obviously we can't control all this from the city council, but we know this is something we have to do as a city, in order to keep and retain our veterans.
Yeah, I think for you guys, it's sort of reinforcing the funding opportunity, because obviously you guys have the whole point of having DVS become, no longer a mayor's office was to give you guys oversight of the power of the purse. And so, recognizing the amount of economic impact between that and then I don't know how many tens of millions of dollars in direct federal government funding for the homeless efforts. It's more than, I can't reinforce enough how paltry it makes the $4 million that we spend directly on the DVS budget.
Right. Oh, you bring this up, Todd. I think you've been bringing this up for years. I remember before joining the council, you were talking about bang for your buck. When you were chair of the advisory board. It really is the best bang for your buck, though. You're right. Small amount of money brings up so much.
Yes, super encouraged to hear that you guys have recognized that and that our lawmakers are getting a lot of focus on that. Second, just maybe more of an observation. I know you mentioned the bill on creating an ability for potential vendors to the city to self-identify. The recommendation, I mean, one can self-identify however they like, but the actual recommendation was to create a preference. In all of corporate America, anyone who does business with the federal government is required to have a program that creates a preference. It seems odd that our city government would not, at least match that. And so hopefully that'll be the next step.
So we were told flat out, just legally, we did not have the authority to do that. And we pushed several times. I could probably go back to my notes because it was a couple of years ago, actually, when the bill got drafted. But we run up against, I think, both federal and state preemption issues, meaning New York City, I think would have had, if I remember correctly, so I'll go back and look, but if I remember correctly, New York State would have to grant us the authority to do that. Which they have not done. And we may also run into a federal issue in terms of we don't have, we like somehow conflict with like civil rights laws doing that. Because like you said, it's kind of like MW, like minority women-owned businesses, like you get like extra points in your contract. So for whatever reason, we were preempted from doing that. That was like our original idea. And I know that's what everyone wanted. But the attorneys for the council refused to draft that. And they're like, there's no way we have the authority to do this.
Yeah, we looked into this, and the solution is not to try and change. I mean, you can try and change the laws, but it is complicated. The easy solution is to include in the definition of minority veterans, because since only less than 1% serve at any given time, so only 4 or 5% in total, of the current generation. And so if you include that as a definition of minority in the same way that many other states and educational institutions and even the federal government does, that's the solution. Because I totally agree, you're not allowed to do it to non-minorities, but if you include if the definition of minority includes veterans, that's the solution.
That's interesting. No, I like that. I haven't heard that before. I will. So it's still laid over in committee, so we can still amend the bill. So I'll follow up with the attorney tomorrow and see, see if that's plausible as part of the amendment.
Yeah, because if you just make them a protected class, then they become, become a minority in the same ways, and that's the solution to it. And the last thing. It sounds like you have, but I'll ask the question anyhow. I assume it sounds like you've read the annual reports, because we had a number of other recommendations. Some of the simplest ones are just like reappointing members, which the speaker hasn't done now for 7 years, I think. And so those seem like fairly administrative and ministerial things, and we've had numerous discussions on them. And I'm just curious why it's so hard to just even ones who you want to reappoint, like John Rowan has been on the board for 25 years and his appointment expired in 2021, and yet he's not been reappointed, nor has he been retired. And it just seems kind of like good housekeeping and something simple. And I think you guys are required, per the law that creates the VAB to appoint someone. So I just would love for you guys to do that, because that just seems like the easiest of all things. In the past, we've actually interviewed.
So I will say, we did make 2 recommendations to the speaker. I do not know, and that was a couple of weeks ago at this point, maybe even a month ago at this point. I'll follow up, because after we made those recommendations, we never heard anything again. As far as I know, we haven't heard anything again. But you're right. There's really no excuse for it.
And a few years ago,
especially since they're asking us for names.
Yeah, a few
Yeah,
years ago at
so
the chair's
I'll,
request, we interviewed 30
take a look
people
at it.
and provided a whole matrix and ranked recommendation and, spent an inordinate amount of time of our personal time on it and no action was ever taken. And so,
No.
it's
Yeah.
sort of just personally, it's a bit of an affront to, to be charged as, personal citizens doing it in our free time for no compensation, to not even have the people who are, both elected, empowered and paid to just do the basic blocking and tackling there.
Right. No, you're right. And it's like you said, we want to prioritize veterans and tell them that we value them. Obviously, some of this basic admin stuff, should be taken care of. But I'll follow up with that as well. And see what's going on that end.
Appreciate it. My last thing, and then I'll cede my time that I just stole from Wendy. But we have since 2015 every year requested an audience with the speaker. And to your point about highlighting where there's focus and attention, the speaker has never, since 2015, has not met with a member of the VAB in any official capacity. And so I think that's kind of a front. The speaker has met with constituents that represent, by my best estimate, something like less than 300 or 400 people in the city. And there's 250,000 veterans and hundreds of millions of dollars of federal sort of monies here. Where you spend your time is a reflection of what matters to you. And it would be I think it would be a really good look for the speaker to spend a little time with the board and just, look at the, few hundred pages of reports that we've written and things such as that over the last 8 years that we've not had a meeting.
Yeah, no, I don't think we knew that. I'm not sure the council members are aware of that. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Of course, you guys should be meeting with the speaker. I will talk to the council member about the best way to try to make that happen as soon as possible.
That's great. And just so the commissioner hears me, this mayor has not yet met with the board either. So the prior mayor did.
That sounds like a good Commissioner Hendon question.
All right, back to you, Wendy. Thank you for your time, Craig, and thanks for the diligent follow-up. It's clear that you guys have made some real progress in the last couple of months here, so really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Craig. Communication is key. So we want to make sure we clean that time, because while you were communicating, I was listening and I was learning how to work the controls. It's a lot of buttons up here. So it's a lot of buttons. So, with Mercedes, thank you so much. She's on the text, and I got the other IT individuals here from York College. Thank you for hosting us. I really appreciate it. Thank you so, so much. And they've been here early teaching me how to work the buttons. So thank you so much. But to no avail, our commissioner is here and he is doing a Herculean task with the staff and trying to continue to make sure New York City is veteran friendly. And I'm going to bring him to the podium now, and he's going to share what DVS is doing. Then after that, we're going to ask him to keep it like to 20 minutes, because we want to make sure we get all our presenters and then have questions as well. So we also want to acknowledge Joe Bello, former board member who's entered into the room. Thank you so much for all of you who have been here. It is so good. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. And there's some food over there, so make sure you eat, because we're not taking that back. Okay, so here's Commissioner Hendon that's going to come in his own way with his team and acknowledging his team that's online as well.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Also want to thank again the hosts at York College as far as allowing us to be here tonight for this gathering. I want to make sure to recognize, our board members, as far as our board chair, Wendy McClinton, who's here. Also other board members, Andrew Walcott, John Rowan, Mercedes Elias, Todd Haskins, Linda Ollis. And I got to call out our emeritus board member, Joe Bello, also. Just want to acknowledge you folks. As was mentioned, my name is James Hendon. I serve as a commissioner of the New York City Department of Veteran Services. I'll start with some things and then pass the baton to a couple of members of my team so we can be able to get good information out there and then leave room for any comments or questions. And so for me, just big picture, it's going to be myself speaking for a little bit, pass the mic over to Jason Laughlin from our team, who's leading our, working with our IGA, Intergovernmental Affairs efforts and other things. Also, we'll then pass the mic to Pedro Zapata, Senior Policy Analyst, who'll talk about upcoming events. Then we'll pass the mic to Dr. Lauren DeMello, who's leading our care coordination and mental health efforts. So just to begin with me, big ticket things we want to say, put out there. First off, an update on Dwyer. As folks know, the Joseph P. Dwyer program is one through which the state has sent the city money to help deal with issues that involve veteran wellness with a hope to, normalize help-seeking behavior and to combat any issues of veterans harming themselves, to include suicide. We put a request for information out where we had 21 respondents. We wanted to hear from the community on what made sense as far as how we could distribute these funds. We're going to run this almost like a foundation where we receive the money and get the money out to the veteran organizations. And so the first part of this is the listening that has occurred through the RFI. Sometime next month, we're going to issue the RFP based on what we've learned from those 25, bits of feedback. We're going to put the request for proposals out, and it's all going to be found on nyc.gov/vetDwyer. nyc.gov/vetDwyer. Folks will have until the end of the next fiscal year. In other words, until June of 2024, awardees will have to execute on whatever is received. So you're going to have that much time. We're trying to run a process where we can get this thing to you in a timely way. It all runs through the passport system, though. So it's all through the city's contracting system. We're working with our Veteran Business Leadership Association, which Pedro will speak to momentarily, to give you technical assistance if you need to navigate the city system to go get this money for all who are applying. So once again, more details about it will be available at nyc.gov/vetDwyer, nyc.gov/vetDwyer. So just want to put that out as far as an update on that. We really want to put these resources in as many of our VSOs' hands as possible as are tackling issues that involve connectedness and help-seeking behavior amongst our folks. Another one I want to speak to is Get Covered NYC. We've got a program, it's Get Covered NYC Vet, where anyone who is looking for health care or looking to tie in to either the VA system or Obamacare, as far as the New York State of Health, is able to text a certain number and someone calls you back and they ask you questions to connect these dots. And that's the broader Get Covered NYC program. But for us, we tell people, look, text Covered NYC Vet to the number, and then someone will call you and ask you some questions about VA health. So if you have someone for whom maybe I'm eligible for VHA or VA healthcare, but my family may be a better fit for Obamacare, they'll help you stick the landing on all things. The phone number you have to text changes as of 12:01 tonight. So as of Thursday, the number you have to text to have a callback, it's going to become 55676. So you'll text Covered NYC Vet to 55676. Somebody calls you back, helps you take steps to tie into VA healthcare. And on the VA side, we put you directly in touch with the folks in the Bronx VA, if that's your home spot, or with the Harbor Health VA, if you're in one of the other boroughs. So once again, you want to text Covered NYC Vet to 55676. That number will be effective as of 12:01 this evening. I want to pass the baton to Jason Larford, let him speak for a minute on something. Then we'll get to Lauren, get to Pedro, then open up for questions.
Thanks, everyone. And thank you to the Veteran Advisory Board for setting this up, as the Commissioner said, and your college. This is an incredible turnout, and it's an awfully comfortable layout. And I think that it's going to be really hard to get us out of here. As the Commissioner said, amongst many things that we're working on across the city, we're very proud of the work that we are doing. We're very proud of the work that you all do. And because of that, we do have a hearing coming up May 8th from 2:30 to 3:30 at City Hall Chamber on our budget. And it's critical that you all come out and testify. What's great about this budget hearing topic is that it's broad enough for all of you to share your experiences and share your own interests in what you believe the city should be investing in and what we as an agency can be doing differently. So to share your testimony, you can go to council.nyc.gov/testify. I'll say that again, council.nyc.gov/testify. That is the website to submit testimony. If you choose to come in person with your testimony, please print out 20 copies because we will be requested to distribute those amongst the people that attend the hearing that day. That's all I think I have. I'll pass it back to the Commissioner. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Just want to make sure folks know about that hearing. So yeah, thank you so much, JR. So once again, he said it's It's www.council.nyc.gov/testify. Email testify@council.nyc.gov if you want to submit anything in writing as far as, or even to connect with folks. Just email testimony@council.nyc.gov to submit the testimony that way. So email testimony@council.nyc.gov. You can go to council.nyc.gov/testify as far as connecting dots to be able to testify. This is our executive budget hearing. Once again, as you said, it's Monday, May 8th, 2:30 p.m. It begins, and as of now, we're tracking it in council chambers at City Hall. So just put that out there.
Commissioner, you mind if I follow on Jason's comments real quick there?
Deputy Commissioner Paul Vallone for External Affairs speaking.
Perfect. I thought it perfect timing to follow Jason. Good evening, everyone, Wendy and the board. As you heard from our new acting IGA, Jason Loughran, I'm the Deputy Commissioner for External Affairs, and the Commissioner and I are very welcome to have Jason and his expertise join our team. Be a great for the upcoming hearings and for this evening and all the VAB contacts and the board meetings. Also wanted to thank Craig from Councilmember Holden's office. It's always wonderful to have the council members and their staff present, because then these meetings take that much more importance, and that goes straight back to the elected officials. One of the things that, as a previous council member in my life prior to DVS, was to create these resource centers, and the commissioner jumped on the idea and worked with Councilmember Holden and Palladino and any other council member that wanted to expand the reach. Because obviously with the 51 council members in the 5 boroughs, it'd be a tremendous resource for our veterans, over 200,000 veterans in New York City, to then go to those offices where we've had staff coordinate and work with claims and just overall assistance to any veteran issues in the community. And that has been tremendous success. And we thank the board tonight for asking for that and us coming through with that. So Commissioner, just want to give that quick update on success with the council members to bring your vision of DVS out into the community, and also to the community boards, now that we're asking them to increase their veteran membership, have subcommittees on veterans. It's an overall, and with the discretionary funding and capital funding, it's an all-out approach now right down to the local level. So thank you, Commissioner, and thank you everyone tonight.
Thanks so much, Paul. We're going to turn it over to Pedro Zapata, our senior policy analyst. He's on the Zoom right now, just to speak to some upcoming events.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Like the Commissioner mentioned, I'll be talking about some of our upcoming events and initiatives, starting with Fleet Week. We are very excited and looking forward to Fleet Week NYC 2023 next month. If anyone has any information, or sorry, if anyone needs any information on Fleet Week, you're welcome to go to www.fleetweeknewyork.com. Again, that's www.fleetweeknewyork.com. Ships are arriving on the 24th of May. One will be docked in Manhattan, and the others will be docked in Staten Island. Here on Manhattan, on the west side, it will be at it would be the USS Wasp. Sorry about that. And in Staten Island, we still are waiting updates from the Navy on that. And again, please stay tuned to the website for updated event information and details about Fleet Week. And to mention the website again, that'll be fleetweeknewyork.com. I'll repeat it, fleetweeknewyork.com. Next, I'll be talking about the Veteran Business Leadership Association, otherwise known as the VBLA. As the Commissioner mentioned, we're planning a few events coming up that will benefit veteran business owners and entrepreneurs. One will be we're calling it the JFK Contractor Summit on June 12th. And it will be an info session for SDVOBs and other members of the veteran community to learn about the upcoming projects and contracting opportunities at the JFK T6 and T8 project. Sorry about that. If you need any information on the VBLA or request any assistance from the VBLA, you can reach them at www.nycvbla.org. Again, that's www.nycvbla.org. We are also planning an event for franchisees with the collaboration of the International Franchisees Association to help veteran entrepreneurs and spouses learn more about becoming franchisees owners. We are planning that for May 31st. Details about that event to be announced, and please feel free to log on to our website, nyc.gov/vets for more information. Lastly, we're going to be holding a Big Apple TAPS Hacking Transition Summit on June 24th at Citi Field. It will be covering transition topics such as employment, education, finances, healthcare, and wellness. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to call us or log on to our website. Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Thank you so much, Pedro. Something else I want to add to as far as events. First off, we are, to underscore what he said about the Big Apple TAP, the New York City Transition Assistance Program. So as of last fall, we started to receive the DD-214s for everyone who leaves the military and comes to New York City. And so it is our goal to invite those veterans, we've already doing outreach actually, to get those veterans and a +1 to attend this Big TAP Summit, which is going to be held at Citi Field on Saturday, June 24th. There'll be different components to it, but a strong emphasis on the employment aspect of it and on tying in with our local veteran service organization. And so we expect that to be a major event. Based on what we receive, we get weekly drops of all the DD-214s of folks leaving the military coming to New York City. Based on what we're receiving, we estimate 3,000 to 5,000 people are leaving the military each year coming to the 5 boroughs. And so we've started getting information as of last October. It's a major event for this group of individuals. And so we're hoping to get a very large turnout there. And we love to have other members of our community come out. The Mets are the hosts of it. And we'll put more information out about that as it comes, but just that, know that that's going to be on Saturday, June 24th, all-day event at Citi Field as far as the Big Apple TAP. And I want to just take this opportunity to mention, we will host the Wall That Heals. This is the replica of the Vietnam War Memorial, the only one that's sanctioned by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. That will be in Flushing Meadows from Wednesday, September 27th through Sunday, October 1st this year. So that's a major event also. We're doing what we can to make sure that all of our brothers and sisters who are connected to Vietnam can experience that wall, for those who can't come to DC. And we're trying to get others who may not have known about this at all to be there as well, as far as working with having school children come, having college students come, having different other groups come. So more details are available at nyc.gov/vetwall. It's nyc.gov/vetwall. And that is for the Wall That Heals. It will arrive as far as being fully firm as of the afternoon of Wednesday, September 27th. It's going to come down the afternoon of Sunday, October 1st. It'll be at Flushing Meadows, right behind the World Ice Arena. That being said, I want to pass it on to Lauren DeMello from our team, Dr. Lauren DeMello, who runs our care coordination and mental health.
Thanks, Commissioner. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us today. One thing that I'd like to discuss and just give you an update on is our New York City Veterans Mental Health Coalition. That's a congregation of approximately, I think at the time, right now we have 64 mental health providers from across the country that congregate once a month. And we discuss various topics in mental health. We share resources, we share events, and we collaborate on different ideas, especially problems that veterans are facing within the mental health space. Our last meeting was on March 29th, where we discussed veteran suicide. During that meeting, we had Dr. Skip Rizzo. He is from the USC ICT team, and he's one of the Mission Daybreak winners. Mission Daybreak was a call to innovators and technology developers across the country by the VA to develop solutions within the technology space that meet the diverse needs of veterans who to prevent suicide. So he gave us a demo of his AI application that involves an avatar that you can talk to. It was really cool. It can go through risk factors with you, assessments with you. It's a buddy to talk to. So it was great having that demo. If anyone's interested in that application, I can share that with you. We also, during that meeting, had the first deputy commissioner of the New York City Chief's Medical Examiner's Office attend that meeting, Dr. Sloan, and she discussed how OCME identifies the causes of death and how they identify those deaths as suicide, as well as how they identify veterans. Lastly, during that meeting, we had an open discussion about gun safety and how it correlates to veterans and how gun suicide by guns are higher amongst veterans. We also discussed moral injury and how that pertains to veterans and suicides. Our next meeting is going to be on May 4th from 2 to 4 p.m. If anybody would like to attend, I guess you can drop it in the chat and I would love to invite you. Our discussion will also be an extension of veteran suicide prevention, where we will discuss how suicide affects different subgroups of veterans, such as women veterans, people of color, the LGBTQ community, combat veterans, older veterans. So we'll have different speakers who are more familiar with those subgroups discuss how they differ from other subgroups. So if you'd like to attend, please drop it in the chat and I'd love to have you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lauren. So I want to open up for questions. I know, Wendy, you want me to address what you provided now? You want to have that person as far as the other question? Let them speak. Yeah, we'll sit tight. Yeah, yeah. So we'll stand by for any questions.
I'll go ahead and start it because Paul Dietrich, who is on the board, is not available, but he did send some questions in earlier to Wendy that he would like to have addressed. The first question is, has the DVS developed a feedback system for veterans, refer to them for assistance to persons, and then to who the person is that referred them? This does not have to be a detailed in-depth response as it may affect veterans' preference, but there should be some type of feedback loop to acknowledge that the veteran is in the system.
I want to defer to Jason Loughran and Lauren on this one as far as, I remember Paul brought this to our attention a while ago. We appreciate you for that question also, Paul. So I want to let JL and Lauren kind of speak on this one. Yeah.
Paul, I think that as we've talked before, it's a wonderful question. And I think that to DVS, customer experience is something that's really important to us. Lauren and I have been working on ways to improve client relationship that DVS has. I think for many of us in this room, we can all agree that veterans have really struggled with seeking out services that will help them, but in a way that it supports the customer.
Jason, can you talk closer to the mic?
So just so everybody understands the question, if John Doe refers somebody to DVS who needs support, what are we doing to follow up with John Doe to make sure they know that veteran that they put in touch with us has gotten the support? How are they closing the loop? That was his question. So I'm sorry,
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner. So we, going back to the customer experience, we are taking steps to focus on how we're ensuring that transparency among services are increased. But those steps are very technical, and those have a lot to do with our systems, which over time we're going to address. But as of right now, the one piece that is important for everybody to learn here is that if you do send a client to DVS, we do have to receive consent from that client to share whatever services we provide to that client and the details around that service to whoever that third-party referral person is. So some partners, especially in this room here, are partners of us on our care coordination system, that is Unitas. So within Unitas, that consent process is already embedded. So I do encourage everyone to work within an organization and work with us to get on Unitas or whatever system we use in the future to establish that shared consent. But if it's an individual like the Veteran Advisory Board and all the great advocates here that are helping people, I do want to encourage you guys to seek out that consent prior to the referral so that we know it's okay by the client to share your information around the closure of that service with the person who sent them our way. I'll turn it over to Lauren if I missed anything on that topic.
No, I had to just to reiterate what Jason said. We often try to update to the best extent that we can, but oftentimes we have to respect privacy. It can be a legal issue if we do not respect privacy and do share too much information, but oftentimes we will let the third party know that we did get in touch And we are in communication with the person they are referring.
And then for the next question, oh, sorry, Commissioner, go ahead.
Thank you so much.
So for the next question, I'll wait because Toby Weiss does have his hand up.
And
You're on mute.
hi, surprise everybody. It's Ashton Stewart. I've been
Ashton.
borrowing
Hi,
my boss's
Yeah.
Zoom account. Sorry about that. Ashton Stewart, and I'm the veteran liaison for MJHS, the Hospice and Palliative Care Program. I applaud DVS and the Committee on Veterans for scheduling a budget committee hearing. And I just wanted to backpedal a little bit and find out what the date was. And I got the website, but I missed the date. And thank you so much for making that happen. It's a wonderful thing.
It's the date of the hearing is it's Monday, May 8th, 2:30 p.m. Monday.
Thank
May
you so
8th.
much.
Say it again. Anyone who's looking to testify. It's
Make sure you speak in the mic, please.
Sorry, say it again.
If you can speak into the mic.
I'm
Yep.
sorry. Forgive me, guys. Monday, May 8th will be the next hearing. It'll be an executive budget hearing. The place to go for anyone who's interested in testifying, it is council.nyc.gov/testify. Council.nyc.gov/testify.
Thank you again, Commissioner.
Okay, and then the second question from Paul was that the veteran service organizations who own city property must fill out an exception to city property taxes annually to continue their exemption. The City Department of Taxation could use a single computer program to check the IRS status to confirm this and eliminate this unnecessary administrative action annually. As long as the federal status is still valid, the VSO is still functioning and do an exemption with no action necessary from them. Is there any way to address this with the city?
I'll talk to Preston DeBlock, the Commissioner for the Department of Finance, see what we can do. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Any other questions?
Yep. Yep. I have questions. All right. First and foremost, about the May 8th hearing. It's not on the council's website. And so I also want to thank everybody that was involved in putting the letter together that we sent to the Speaker's office. Thank you, John Rowan, and everybody that was involved with that. Wendy, appreciate it. Glad to see we are getting a hearing. Again, though, the information is not on the council's website, and I was surprised that Holden's rep didn't mention it. So what happened there?
And on our end, Joe, we just found out. We just found it. So it's new news to us too. Just want to say that. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, he didn't mention it, so I'm like, but he works for the chair. So that's just interesting, that's all. I wanted to go over a couple of items. So particularly the Joe Dwyer program. So at the last hearing, it was briefly mentioned, the Joe Dwyer program, and Ellen made mention of working with VSOs to do, and she mentioned massages and Reiki. And a number of us were like, that doesn't really seem kind of appropriate to what the Joe Dwyer program is about. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. And I also wanted to see if you were going to recommit to having a VAB board member on once you do the RFPs. And also, what kind of data, how are you looking to collect data from that Joe Dwyer program?
Okay, so in order, as far as I know she gave different examples. This is really a bottom-up process as far as taking information from the veteran community. So that's one thing. And so, I know she listed different examples, but it's going to be us letting you talk to us. That's one. Two, yes, we will still have a VAB member on that committee that's looking at these, helping us as far as determining, advising us on how this is to be scored. And then what was the third question? The data.
How are you collecting data?
Yeah, Joe, the data will be very much associated with that committee and deciding on the partners, because as you can probably imagine, every different partner would have different data and outcomes that we want to reach. So data will be discussed amongst that committee decision, and it should be within every package's proposal.
Mhm.
So you'll see, the committee, the VAB member would see that data beforehand. And but to your question, I suppose it's like, will the data be available or accessible?
And what's
Yeah,
tough here,
performance-wise?
Joe, thank you for these questions. Everybody, we're building the plane while flying it here, and we're the only community that's taking the money and doing this with it. And so for us, one fight was the fight to get the money from the Department of Health
Yeah.
to DVS, because it got sent to the health department, not to
Yep.
us. And that's just coming to a climax. That was one fight. The next fight was navigating the contract system. As far as people having to apply through Passport, giving them technical assistance. I can tell you, we haven't gotten to the juncture yet as far as how are we gonna deal with the metrics that we are accounting for. It's something we know we have to also do. Right now, we're just focused on, let's get this RFP out and then have the conversation about who we will actually award. And then it's all connected. I just want to be full
Yeah.
disclosure, like
No, I gotcha.
we haven't tackled that particular
Well,
piece of it.
I only asked that because the concern has been that, Ellen mentioned massages and Reiki. And we've been hearing back from community members who went to the information sessions and they were talking about buying concession stuff for people at movies, things of that nature. So I think from our perspective and from the advocates' perspective, we want to make sure this money is being handled in the right way, that it doesn't go back to the state and say we were just doing massages and Reiki. That's all. So I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
putting
I
that
got you.
there.
What's complicated too with this is, because think of it from a contracting perspective also. So from a contracting perspective, it's an advisory committee that's advising us on how to execute these contracts. We've got to be careful with how we navigate this thing. I just want to call that out too.
I am curious though, why couldn't you have done just like Suffolk County and just hired someone to do peer-to-peer? We know the person out in Suffolk County. Why didn't we, was that a consideration or?
This was on me as far as the decision to do this
Fair
in a
enough.
way where, and there are different reasons why. One was, I love us doing this in a way where we could democratize this and allow all our VSOs to have a seat at the table in vying for the resources. Another piece of it is, if we do it right, we can be able to tell philanthropies, other funders, hey, look, we've done the work of the diligence here. Match us dollar for dollar on this program. Put 50 cents on the dollar of this. In other words, try to get more juice for the squeeze. So as opposed to just cutting that money to one group, I just felt like we could take what we receive and multiply it. If other entities that invest in these things see, oh wait, DVS, they did the work, they have a great system, they have the working with the community also, as far as with representatives from VAB and others who are leaders in this space, to run a straight up and down process. The metrics look right. I don't mind just investing in this. So that was really what this was about.
Have you determined how much you're going to put into the Joe Dwyer Fund per? Like, because I remember
Good
you saying a
question.
while
Yeah,
back, you can only level up to 20,000.
Yeah, this goes back to the contracting pieces of it.
Okay.
As far as all the different contracting guidelines we've got, there's not a set amount for each person who will win. And right now, I'll say, because of contracting guidance, it's not done in a way, or when that RFP comes, it won't be done in a way where we're saying it's a limit of 20 for each person. It'll be something where we'll say, I don't want to misspeak, but it won't be just at 20. I'll just say that much. We've got to follow the way that the Mayor's Office of Contracts Services is advising us. And there's going to be diversity in how this is executed.
I just want to add also, Joe, I think to the commissioner's point and your point, the points that you're bringing up, the commissioner has always been interested in making sure that the Dwyer funds was a transparent discussion and building structurally of the community and ourselves. So what you're doing right now is exactly kind of what we're kind of hoping for. And where we are in the procurement process, there's still room for us to flush all these things out. So, I mean, it's still very early to answer your questions with more detail as what you're bringing up, but you're kind of flagging the things that why we're having an open discussion with the community like yourselves to say.
Yeah, the things we'll be looking at.
Exactly.
From the outside looking
Right.
at.
So I just
Yeah.
want to applaud you for bringing up these topics, but also I want to remind you that this is what the point of these forums are, to ensure that we continue to have this open dialogue with the community on
Yeah.
how we spend the money.
All right, next question. Some of the veteran vendors have asked me, so there's been conversations with Pedro Zapata, and Pedro has said that you, Commissioner, committed to do a VBLA for the vendors. He said that it was going to be one meeting, and then the next meeting was going to be that you were going to gather all the vendors that you have received the list from DCWP. But yet when Mr. Zapata spoke tonight, we heard May 31st, we heard June 12th, and I'm not hearing anything about the vendors. Where are we with that?
We're still working on the vendor piece. That's not a ball that's dropped. Let me be clear. That's something where we're still looking to stick the landing. Issue with the vendors is we have the information as far as the contact info for those vendors, but we're government. So we can't just up and share that would.
No, that was understood.
Space.
That's why the
So, yeah,
VBLA
it was
meeting
happening
is supposed to be
yeah,
taking
and
place.
we just having a back and forth internally about this, where we're looking to get this done in the coming weeks as far as having that meeting and getting it off the ground so that we can have that opportunity. Just know that that's not been dropped. It's just that the date isn't firm yet. We've only, most of the announcements here, if not all, things were firm. As far as the dates we put out, we don't have that firm date. That's why that was said, but trust me, we have not dropped that. I was pushing the gas on that not too long ago on this subject so that we can get the meeting on the table for our vendors to come together.
Okay. In regard to Councilman Vallone, two questions. Councilman Vallone. Yeah, so used to it. Assistant Commissioner Vallone or Deputy Commissioner, he
Sounded
mentioned,
good, Joe. I don't mind.
he mentioned that Jason got promoted to IGLA, and you had mentioned it as well, Jason. So I'm just curious, who is taking over your old spot for community, for outreach, for claims, for who's doing that? Who's the?
Yeah, I mean, it's an excellent question. One thing, our deputy commissioner is stepping in to support.
Deputy Commissioner who?
I'm sorry, Deputy Commissioner Glenda Garcia. And as you know, our directors have been building great relationships within their own tasks. So Lauren and the Mental Health Coalition, Philip with benefits and claims, and Lamar has been in housing for a long time. So our confidence level between the directors and the deputy commissioner working together, we feel like it's going to continue to flow efficiently and effectively. I'll turn it over to the commissioners.
What's key here is that there was a time when we were desperate to get some hires knocked out. We got those things done. And amongst those hires include Lauren, who now runs our care coordination mental health unit. We also were able to elevate Lamar Wheeler, who now runs our housing support services unit. And you also have Philip Dew, who's brought on, who runs our VA claims unit. We got to a place where we have this group, got the right people in. We had a vacancy on the IGA side. It made sense to ask Jason Lawford, who's here right now, to move into that IGA role, in the role that Bianca Vitale once filled. And we've got good people we just recently either elevated or put in. And so they're reporting directly to that Deputy Commissioner for Operations, Glenda Garcia. So that's how that shook out.
So the other question around that is, Paul mentioned also the resource centers, in the Queensboro Hall and Palladino. But a lot of veterans have been telling John, myself, and others that Tanya Thomas can no longer do claims, and that's why it seems Christian is with her. So kind of what's going on there with that situation? What's happening? Why isn't Tanya able to do claims? And then we're also hearing from Staten Island that one of your claims guys quit or stepped out. Can you explain what's kind of happening there? What's with the claim unit?
For the Staten Island one, I don't want to get into details there. It's a personnel situation. It's not, this person has not left, but I just want to respect privacy that this person did not leave. I was just want to be clear about that. So that person's still there, but I don't want to put their business, that's just certain. To be clear, we still have somebody, but there's a personnel thing going on there. Just say that. That's one. As far as the Tanya situation, so we've got the folks who've expressed need at the two different remote VRCs. It's a need for claims that has come up over and over again of folks saying, hey, I need help with the claim side of things. Tanya right now is working with Lauren. She works under Lauren DeMello, Dr. DeMello, in our care coordination mental health unit. So for us, it's been managing the reputation Tanya has, because folks out in Queens, really, she's a known quantity from being in Queensboro Hall for so long. So managing that with the fact that Tanya's not a claims person now, she's on care coordination, but we also have veterans who have a claims need. And so what you're seeing is us sorting this out with the two council members' offices as far as sticking the landing where people can still receive what they need service-wise. We're recognizing we've got Tanya in a different role in the agency, which she does very, very well.
Okay, so when she goes, she's the face of DVS? Is that what we're saying? Or is she just?
Yeah, let me just chime in here. And Joe, Tanya has developed a significant reputation. And so we do recognize that Tanya has her own desires professionally, and we also have needs, as the commissioner said. So we as an agency are constantly fluid. We have different challenges every week in terms of where the data is requesting more support for. And Lauren in our care coordination unit. So the real decision around it is the fact that we've got a lot of different demand points, when it's people filling out a VetConnect form to people requesting claims to people requesting housing. And so, to be honest, we're constantly shifting, I guess, directions for staff at a coordinator level because attrition and everything changes weekly, right? Benefits claims at some point after the PACT Act was announced went up threefold. So the demand was really high there. We're not a huge enough agency where we've got a large, staff in each department. So we actually are very thankful that our staff is so nimble and flexible. When the need comes back, where benefits does continue to increase, we can go back and shift that. In fact, right now, we're still having discussions with Tanya if she wants to do claims again. But again, it's all about on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, the needs that our veteran community have change, and we want to be flexible and adaptable to those needs.
I understand
But I
that.
understand what you're getting at where
I think for a bunch of the veterans that John and I and others have been talking to,
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out, okay, so if Tanya's not doing claims and you have her going to Palladino's office and Holden's office, like, so then what exactly is she doing? Other than sitting next to Kristen?
Yeah,
And
well,
who's at the Queensborough President's office?
Yeah, well, Christian Peralta is at the Queensborough President's office, but we also we'll share with you a calendar if anyone would like to know who's going to be where in, the 5 boroughs. But back to the Tanya. Tanya is actually the only person who has been trained to do SNAP benefits. I don't recall if we've actually made this announcement. So part of the decision to also allow for Tanya to concentrate on that as a new service that DVS is offering, we weren't sure what the demand would be for that. So we wanted to make sure that she wasn't overwhelmed with a lot of cases while she's taking on this new need that we believe the veterans could benefit from. Because the whole purpose of that was to say, you shouldn't have to go all the way to an HRA office every time if you need SNAP. Tanya can go and find you wherever you are, as she's the only person at this time trained. So we were piloting something new, which is also the reason why we wanted to be careful around the demand that Tanya had on her plate. So I hope that also clarified like what Tanya's doing.
Yeah, I mean, finally, well, I have one of two. DVS recently received roughly around $6,000 from DeCrute in NYU, and it was sent through the mayor's fund. Is there any plans for that money?
Joe, $6,000.
6,000, a little roughly over $6,000. I know Ellen was involved with it.
From where?
It came from, it was sent as part of a grant that DVS was supposed to do outreach to. And the money went through the mayor's fund.
So we've got Ellen, I know Ellen's subject matter expert on all that. I've got to make sure we get back to him. I'm sorry, like we here don't have the answer to that right away. We got to talk to Ellen about that, so we'll get back to him. Yeah.
Final question. You have a fireside chat coming up. Is there anything legislatively that you're going to talk about legislatively before the lawyers? Is there anything legislatively that you're interested in that you are looking to put out or you want forwarded or you're thinking about?
I've got what you're talking about. Okay, this is New York State Bar Association.
Correct.
Event coming up on April 28th.
Correct.
Nothing at this time that comes to mind for us. Something that we already did a preview with them, talking about the need for many of our veterans. We have an aging community, and there's a need for support when it comes to trust in estates, things of that nature. So recognizing that's a group of attorneys with New York State Bar Association, that was one of the things we can definitely bring up is from some of the legal needs there with trust in estates for a lot of our veterans and veterans who are taken advantage of by folks who are doing fraudulent things and preying upon our people, especially our older veterans. So those are among some of the things we agree.
Because I am concerned. I know the duals program is coming to its conclusion, its second year. Is that correct? The duals, you guys are
I think
funding?
we're just through, I believe we're just through 1 year. This is just 1 year. It's 1 year of a 3 year
left,
contract.
No, I'm just saying from a legal perspective, and then since we didn't have a preliminary budget hearing, I know a lot of the legal groups, if you notice, they signed on to the letters because they were concerned. And I'm sure you saw a lot of legal groups, not just within veterans, but outside are also
I
concerned
know that's a
about funding.
3 year contract. We're just finishing year 1 of it. And I know just for that audience, it was things that we can work with our attorneys to kind of help our veteran community with as far as anything in a pro bono way. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you so much. Thank you, DVS. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody. Dr. DeMello, everybody for those questions and those answers.
Jared, can I just answer one of Joe's questions?
What we're going to do, because we do have some presenters any of the other questions? Oh. Craig, were you trying to say something?
Yes, only because Joe was asking why I didn't bring up the hearing. We haven't gotten the official notice yet, and as Joe pointed out, it's not on the Legistar yet, which is like basically the public notice essentially that the hearing's taking place. So we probably won't say anything until it actually is posted to Legistar. That's just the reason.
Okay, thank you, Craig. I know that.
And we love Tanya, FYI. So she's been doing a great job.
On tonight, we give Tanya a great hand, yeah. But she's doing an excellent job. All right, but we have two presenters that we need to allow to present, and we also want to have question and answers about some other things as well. So first of all, I want to thank everybody again, DVS. We want to thank National Association of Black Military Women. We want to thank all the staff and everybody from York College. We want to thank BVSJ with their Staff Sergeant Fox program, who's here to service the veterans that are in the room, and also our homeless veteran reintegration program. We thank those veterans that are here and have come out to join us as well. And please let me know, we may not have enough time to answer all of your questions tonight, but please, DVS, Commissioner Jason, please put your information in the chat, your email addresses, so that you can send your questions and concerns to DVS or to Councilmember Holden's office, to the Veterans Advisory Board, that we may get your question answered. We also want to do a little housekeeping. Our next Veterans Advisory Board will be in Staten Island on Wednesday, June 7th. And we're going to be looking for another college campus that we can come and host that VAB public meeting as well. So now I want to bring to the podium because they're not here, but we're going to bring them online. We're going to bring Dondi McCullough and also Benjamin Solitari. Please forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong. Please correct me. And they're going to do their presentation. We have at least about 10 minutes for you to present, and then we're going to have some questions and answers. So we're going to start with them. After we conclude that, then it's going to be Amy Weigel. I hope I'm saying that right. And she's going to come in her own way as well. Let's start with Dondi and Benjamin.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you to VAB board, elected officials, Craig, I see you, and the commissioner. Thank you very much. My name is Dondi McKellar. I'm a United States Navy veteran. I'm the former chair of the Bronx Community Board 2, and I just want to share with you this experience I'm having with the New York Civic Engagement Committee. I served there since 2019, and I would like to share with you about the people's money, how to spend the people's money. This is another aspect, I guess, from civic engagement. Other than being on the community board, you can also, for veterans who did not know about the civic engagement, this is another aspect that you can also serve in your community. And without further delay, I want to introduce Mr. Benjamin Solitari. He's going to go through our particulars of what we do for participatory budgeting. And again, as a veteran who's a street vendor, I do serve as a street vendor on this particular committee. So I'm very happy to introduce Benjamin, and I'll let you take it from there.
Thank you so much, Dondi. Thank you so much for letting me be here. This is the second time I followed the commissioner in the last couple of months. We were, I think, I was on a Queens community board presentation, or maybe borough board. But great to see you, and thank you everybody for having me here. You guys do amazing work. And I know how important you are to our communities. I'm going to share my screen, I think, for a second. If you can see that, I will. I went to the last slide first. I will try to be brief. We are this Civic Engagement Commission. My name is Benjamin Solitari, the Participatory Budgeting and Community Board Advisor for the Civic Engagement Commission. We were established in 2018 through a charter referendum. Hopefully some of you voted for it. So we're the first democratically elected commission in the city charter. We take care of participatory budgeting, poll site language assistance. So we provide translations at poll sites for people to vote in political elections. Democracy NYC encourages voter turnout and voter registration. We provide trainings to community boards. And of course, we work with our agency, our fellow agencies and community partners to talk about civic engagement citywide. Citywide participatory budgeting. It's the first time it's happened. PB is a democratic process, which allows community members like yourselves deciding how to spend part of a public budget. So we have our council members and our mayor all working to decide how our budget is, but this gives some of that money directly to the hands of the community. It's a worldwide process. It started in 1989 in Brazil and is now 11,000 states, cities, counties, municipalities around the world. It has been in the city since 2011 as PBNYC. The city council runs their process. You might have just voted in it. It was a couple weeks ago. But that is a voluntary process for the city council members. It's been about half out of the 51 council members have done it. So that's fantastic. But this is the first time this process will be available to everybody throughout New York City. We launched it back in September 14th, back last year. What's really exciting, and we'll talk about what's happened in that since then, but what's really exciting about this again is that everybody 11 years old or older can vote. You do not have to be a citizen. You do not, we're translating into 12 different languages, so 11, one of them's English. You don't have to be registered, you don't have to be a citizen. All you have to do is be 11 or older and be a resident of New York City. And we have $5 million to spend in this of the city's expense budget in our neighborhoods. If you live in, obviously, if you live in one of the boroughs, you'll have a borough ballot to vote in. And then we also have 33 neighborhoods that were called the tree neighborhoods, they're sort of equity neighborhoods, ones that were hard hit by COVID and have other economic indicators of disenfranchisement and disinvestment. And if you live in one of those 33 neighborhoods, you get to vote in a ballot for them too. So there's one or two ballots, depending on where you live, and they're all unique. Again, back in September, we started this process, hearing from the communities out throughout the city about their ideas on how to spend this money, what the services that their communities needed. There were 523 sessions around the city involving over 12,000 New Yorkers, and we ended up with over 4,000 ideas. We have sorted through all those ideas. The commission went through those ideas and took out either redundant ones or ones that were complete, but we ended up with about 100 per borough, and we gave those over to what we called borough assembly committees, which were randomly chosen groups of people that demographically represented their boroughs, about 15 to 20 people per borough. And they did a deliberative process to try to decide what the final ballot would be. We can't fund 100 projects or 2,000 projects, but we can fund 3 to 4 per borough. And in the inequity neighborhoods, of course, we have partners in those neighborhoods, and they formed neighborhood coalitions and went through a similar process to decide their ballots. It was really exciting. They really enjoyed it. It was really an interesting process. And then, of course, voting, that's the key part. And what was coming up soon, May 10th, to be exact, will happen around the city. Again, 11 or older, and you'll have a chance to vote on 1 or 2 ballots, depending on where you live. I'm not going to review all the neighborhoods, but you can see them listed there. Those are our equity neighborhoods. They're spread throughout the city. So it's about half the city in the equity neighborhoods alone. How are you going to vote from May 10th to June 25th, you might ask? Well, of course, we'll be able to vote online, which is a great thing for a lot of people. It'll be the image you see on the left here is sort of what it would look like on your phone or on your computer. You're going to put in a zip code to this. Well, this is the second page, but you'll start with a zip code to identify what ballot you get to vote on. That will come up. Then you'll have to enter a phone number to validate that you are only voting once, only one vote per phone number. It's sort of just one way to keep some of the voting integrity for this process. Then you get to read through the descriptions of the projects on the ballot and select the project you want to vote for, and then submit that. And then, of course, there's an optional survey at the end of that, just so we can find out who's voting for us with us. And then, of course, there will be paper ballots so that everybody throughout the city has an opportunity to do that. You have an example of a Queens ballot here on the right. You can see some of the projects coming up for Queens. There's healthy lifestyle guidance for kids, self-defense training for vulnerable groups, job training for unhoused people, parent supported and wellness services. As you can see there, so you get to vote for the projects that you think should be funded there. There'll be sites set up throughout the city on our site, on our website, participate.nyc.gov. There'll be a list of all the partners and all their vote sites across the city. Some might be open for all 7 weeks, some might be open for a couple of days, but all that information will be accessible on our website, and we'll be able to share that with everybody. There's definitely a lot of ways to stay involved. If people want to learn a little more or be a little more involved, we'll be sharing social media kits to get the word out, so people can understand what the process is and have a link to vote online. Organizations can request funding if they think they can actually help us get the vote out. We would love that. We are looking for people to help with the paper ballot getting out there. Anywhere it says here from $500 to $5,000, depending on how many votes you think you could get. We'll be able to send that out too. And then there's a way just to volunteer as an individual to come help us with our events. We have a lot of neighborhood partners, but we are also doing some events on our own. So again, I'll be able to share this either with Dondi, who can share it with you, or I'll send it directly to you guys. A lot of this work, as Dondi mentioned, he's been on our participatory budgeting advisory committee. We have about 25 people that have worked with us for the last couple of years to help design this process and to make it as accessible and equitable as possible. So there are projects that help everybody in the borough, everybody in the neighborhoods. Again, there's things from intergenerational programs to tech training to cleanup efforts to you name it. There's all sorts of healthy food, mental health, a lot of mental health programs to be out there. And we really need your voice and your vote to come out and give us an idea about what should be funded. So I will stop that. I don't know how long I went. I know you guys are busy. Dondi, did I cover it all, do you think?
I think you did a great job. I just want to add, it's a place for all of us who as veterans to look at civic engagement and spending the people's money. I enjoy it for that aspect. I had a great time as a community board chairman, but this is really great as well. So I just want you to know, keep your doors and options open and think about CNC. Thanks.
I'm happy to answer any questions if there are. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you.
Thank you so much. That was great. So now that we learned how to manage DVS, get services through them, we've learned that Tanya is an excellent person, and we've learned how to spend the people's money.
That's right. Oh, thank you for sharing.
And I put her name right, Ms. Wiggle.
Hi. Yes, Wagel. You got it right.
Thank you.
I think we're going to share some.
Let me just look at it really quick. Okay, here we go. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Well, hi, my name is Amy Wagel. I'm with Zeal. We are an in-home medical massage provider for the VA nationwide. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. We can go to the next slide, please. Did you know that medical massage is a covered treatment option for veterans who qualify and who have an active referral from their VA doctor? And if you answered no to this, you are sadly not alone. And that's why I'm here with you tonight, to spread this awareness. Although Zeal is certainly not the only medical massage provider within the VA's community care network, many veterans are sadly still completely unaware that massage may even be an option for them. For roughly 18 months, Zeal has been a proud partner of Optum and TriWest to provide in-home medical massage as a treatment option for veterans nationwide. We at Zeal initially piloted in-home medical massage with only 3 VA medical centers. We've grown to 27 to date, and I'm really proud to share with you that in these past 18 months, we've actually treated nearly 2,000 veterans with over 22,000 appointments completed. Zeal's been working really hard to bring more massage therapists onto the network, 4,000 more so far and counting, and that's more than doubling the VA's capabilities. You can go to the next slide, please. In-home treatment saves a minimum of 45 minutes of round-trip travel time for the veteran. But if the veteran does wish to travel to an office, we also have office providers in our network. So far, however, 90% of the veterans are choosing that in-home option. Next slide. So roughly 3 weeks ago, the VA approved us officially to launch nationwide. And the list of VA medical centers calling and sending referrals is growing very rapidly, as you can see on this slide. The names that are in italics there have come online with us within the past 30 days alone. Next slide. While we receive referrals for a variety of symptoms, back and neck injury are by far the most common. Under the direction of our chief medical officer and clinic director, our therapists work towards specific goals with the veteran, such as return to activity, returned range of motion, and reduction of pain medication. Next slide. The treatment results have been compelling. Most of our veteran patients have severe chronic pain conditions. They report that massage treatment is improving their quality of life, which is great. Nearly all have reported a decrease in their pain level after treatment. Next slide. Even better, massage is proven to help reduce reliance on medication, including expensive prescription drugs and addictive impacts. And the best news, massage has no documented side effects, except of course to feel amazing afterwards. Next slide. Now, I don't need to tell you, but scheduling wait times at the VA medical centers can sometimes exceed 60 to 90 days. We have reduced time to treatment to just 6 days versus a 23-day average for other community care network providers. You might be wondering, well, how do you do that? Zeal takes on the scheduling directly with the veteran and the massage therapist. So that's number one. And then because we come to the home, there's no travel or in-office wait times either. We also have no limited office hours. We treat 7 days a week, morning, day, or evening. Next slide. There are over 2 million veterans suffering from chronic pain. 1/3 of those veterans are prescribed opioids. And now, while opioids can be used for good, it's alarming to learn that the rate of opioid use disorder among veterans is 7 times greater compared to non-veterans. So we have to do better here. Next slide. If you're sitting here tonight and you're a veteran and you're wondering how you can receive massage as a treatment option, the first step is always to speak with your VA doctor to get a referral. If you encounter any issues regarding in-home medical massage being an option to you, please share my contact information, which is on the screen, with your VA medical center. As Zeal's VA relationship manager, I'm always happy to help the VA help you. I do this all day, every day, and I'm certainly happy to help. You can also visit zeal.com. That's Zulu Echo Echo Lima.com. And I sincerely appreciate your time tonight. This has been great to meet with you all. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Thank you, Amy, so much. I'm kind of like stunned. I saw New York said Buffalo. I'm like, where's the massages in New York City? You know?
I know. And we're actually based in New York City.
By the time we get to Buffalo, it'll be wore off.
I know. Our company is actually we're based in New York City. That's where we're headquartered too. So let's get it going. Let's get it going, folks.
One of the questions that and I thought that the presenter would be on tonight, and maybe I missed it. But one of the things that the commissioner, he's on the line, Jason is here, Paul is on the phone, but we're going to have to address the issue with this cannabis issue, with cannabis issue, vendors and veterans being able to open dispensaries within New York City. I know, Amy, you're doing massages, but there's some other things where we have our veterans who are vending, and a lot of them have not been offered through the Office of OCM, the Office of Cannabis Management, where individuals that are not veterans are allowed to get these licenses to open their own dispensaries and start their own businesses. They're not able to do that. However, those individuals who are non-veterans, and then they set the stakes so high. And maybe this is something that Commissioner Holden and the speaker and everyone and Jason could probably answer that question, because they have these limits, like, there are organizations that, are veteran organizations or provider of organizations, and they say, well, in order, one of the qualifications, you have to have somebody on your board that has been convicted of marijuana use or sale. Okay, well, when we interview them and they most likely say that, we go, but now, that's one of the qualifications. But how are you choosing other people over veterans? So I'm going to ask Jason, what is that? It's been in our New York Post, it's been in the Times, and the veterans now are speaking up about that. That's the platform that we need to deal with. Also, dealing with the burn pits and Camp Lejeune, and there's so many other things. So we want to deal with that, and we're going to have Jason, and then we're going to have John come and have words about that. Amy, thank you so much. Please get them to New York City. I need a deep tissue, left back, L2, 4, and 5.
I'm ready for you.
Amy, it's me. John wants to know, could you put all the information in the chat, please, about the massage and where they can get the information and who they need to call? Can you please put that in the chat? Thank you
You
so
got
much.
it. Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Wendy. So on the cannabis discussion, so number one, as Wendy pointed out, and as most of you know already, this is managed by the New York State's Office of Cannabis Management. So the city in this particular case does not have jurisdictional authority over it, but we do want to say that we're proud that we have 2 conditional licenses that have been issued to veteran-owned businesses, both in Queens. So shout out to Queens. The 2 are the Cannabis Place and All-in-One Extraction and Product Manufacturing. They're in Long Island City. So if you guys are interested in speaking to veteran business owners that have successfully done this, I do highly recommend that you guys reach out to those 2 business owners. Also, the city is developing a Cannabis Policy Advisory Commission, and we are committed to having a standing veteran liaison within the office who will serve the commission and ensure that the veteran community has a seat at the table as the cannabis industry continues to grow. So that's one step we're taking. But just I want to take a moment to address that the idea of it favoring felons. We do at the heart of this, it was to respond and to right the wrongs of the war on drugs. And we all know that there were certain communities that were threatened and more so impacted by that war on drugs. So the heart and soul of this initial effort to ensure that these licenses went to small business owners, the intention was to ensure that those who were most harmed, like those who were arrested, incarcerated, and had other civil liberties denied, we want to ensure that that cannabis possession, this license would be able to be accessible to that community. But we do understand that there are more communities, such as the veteran community, that should have priority designations while this industry expands. So we're going to continue to work with the state to ensure that the veteran community is amongst those that are considered for that priority designation. I'll turn it back over.
Hi. We have the commissioner who's going to come back to follow up with a question. Then after that, before we close, we're going to have announcements, and I'm going to give away some gifts and all that other good stuff. And we're going to do some follow-up and all that other good stuff. So Commissioner, you had a follow-up to a question that you need to answer. Mr. Bello, you have some announcements, and if anybody else has any announcements, and I have a couple, and then we're going to get closing because we right on time. Go ahead.
So I got the answer to Joe. Thank you so much, Wendy. Joe, I wanted to answer your question about the crew. So I checked in with Ellen. I just stepped away for that. Decruit, which is a nonprofit that focuses on helping folks deal with trauma through using Shakespeare. Decruit applied for a grant from the Lori M. Tisch Illumination Fund. They received, I'm sorry, City. Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't know all the, I just call it, I want to make sure the clears up. So they received a larger grant, of which the DVS via the Mayor's Fund was listed as a subprime. So it was the group that went after this was Decruit, and that's decruit.org, as far as doing what they can to promote, trauma, healing trauma through Shakespeare. And DVS was the subprime on that. And so they did win it. And ultimately a piece of that has gone to the Mayor's Fund with the purpose of DVS using that to help promote what they're offering throughout the veteran community, just to clarify. So that is what happened. And the dollar amount was $6199. So $61.99 that has gone to DVS to help with the promotion of that effort. Any other comments on that? I just want to make sure to clear that up. So we, you ask a question, want to make sure you answer. I've got to do my homework here, but I don't believe the money has arrived yet with us, or if it has arrived, it's very recent. In other words, it's, so just so, like, this is all fresh as far as development wise. And then just the thing I was gonna say for the good of the group too, we put things in the chat, but just remember, reach out if you need anything as far as from the Department of Veteran Services. Our phone number is 212-416-5250. It's 212-416-5250. The website is nyc.gov/vets. It is nyc.gov/vets. On social media, the handle is @NYC Veterans. It is @NYC Veterans. And you can always reach us via email. It's connect@veterans.nyc.gov. Connect@veterans.nyc.gov. My own email address, it's in the chat. It's jhendon@veterans.nyc.gov. So JHENDON@veterans.nyc.gov. We encourage all in our community to take advantage of our newsletter. To sign up, if you've not yet, go to nyc.gov/vet newsletter, nyc.gov/vet newsletter. So thank you so much. We appreciate everything that you do as a community, and do stay in touch with us at the Department of Veteran Services. I'll turn it over to the chair.
All right, is this on? Yeah, real quickly. I appreciate Jason's comments about the cannabis. I think for a lot of veterans, we're concerned about that, particularly because if you all recall, when the city put together the Street Vendors Advisory Board, there was no veteran on it. And then the veteran that got put on it was from the Street Vendors Project. And as Commissioner Hendon knows, we've had back and forths with the vendors about how this individual got on, who does he represent? Is he representing really veterans? He hasn't met with any of the veteran vendors. So I think it's important as we move forward with cannabis that you guys make sure you're at the seat at the table to make sure that we do have veteran representation on that board. Secondly, one of the duties I have is I'm a member of the Bronx Borough President's Veterans Advisory Council. Bronx Week is coming up. I know we're in Queens, but it's Bronx Week is coming up in May. And I wanted to officially announce, even though Wendy will receive it, that we have asked Wendy McClinton to be our keynote speaker for this event. And we look forward to having her at Maestro's on May 10th. And Wendy, we're looking forward to hearing that speech. And secondly, we also extend the invite to Commissioner Hendon. But we are going to tell you, just like Annette Osborne, you got to keep it to 2 minutes, brother. You got to say name, rank, what you do, DVS, and be done. No quotes, no nothing. We're telling everybody. We've been telling Vivian the same thing. So May 10th. May 10th. It's actually going to be a luncheon. We're not doing a breakfast this year. It's a luncheon. So thank you very much.
Thank you. At the place in the Bronx. All right, thank you, everyone. We're winding down, and I want to thank everyone. This has been a most exciting meeting. I love it. Meet us in Staten Island. We're looking for a venue. We're going to be at another college. We thank our student veterans that were here with us today. They already left. They came and got information and services. So that was a great, great thing. So we asked when we come back to Queens, this is going to be our house. We're not going nobody else but here to York College. I want to make a couple of presentations that, we want to thank Mr. Eason, who is the veteran liaison here at York College, who made all of this possible. He left some bags, but they only left 4. So what we had to do, we gave it to the National Association of Black Women Veterans, their liaison, Ms. Stanley. She was here. We're going to give one to the Commissioner of DVS, and we're going to give one to him, and we're going to give one to John Rowan. And John Rowan is has spent the most time on the board of directors of VAB, a wealth of knowledge, who knows the veteran community, who's a voice in a time such like this. So we want to thank him for all that he does, He does so much. If you want to know anything about happening within veterans in the VAB, you need to contact John Rowan. He is an asset that nobody wants to lose. And I thank him for being on the VAB. I thank him for being a part of my life and instilling those things and opening the doors so that a woman veteran like me could stand right here and be the chair of the Veterans VAB. Thank you to our board members. Thank you to our former board members. Thank you, Mr. Wilcox, for being out with us tonight. Jason, could you please come and get this for Commissioner? And one of the last announcements that I want to make before we close, we thank all of our board members. Before we close, if there are any board members of the VAB, will you please share your acknowledge yourselves and tell them who you are and who you represent before we go off the line? Are y'all there? Start with you.
Sorry, if you said Todd, it's Todd Haskins representing Manhattan, served in the Marine Corps.
Excellent. Linda?
Hi, I'm Linda Ollis, and I'm the Secretary Treasurer of the Staten Island Michael Ollis Freedom Foundation, and I'm a Gold Star mom.
Mercedes?
Hi, all. Mercedes Elias, Marine Corps veteran, Afghanistan combat veteran as well. I represent Queens. I just happened to be at a work late event, so I couldn't make it out to York, but that's the best borough. That's all I got to say.
Mercedes, thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do. I mean, making sure that, we're on point with the Zoom, with the secretary. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. Helping me know which buttons to push. Thank you so much. Are there any other board members on the line? Okay, thank you so much. Our last announcement, if anybody's in Brooklyn on April 27th, on April 17th, BVSJ turns 44 years old. It's our anniversary. And we have received a collaboration with the National Jazz Consortium out of Harlem. And on that day, we will be having the Jazz Consortium, and we will be celebrating the anniversary of jazz on April 27th at BVSJ. It's a free event. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. Come on down, have some food, enjoy some good jazz. We did last month, which we celebrated Women's History Month. February, we celebrated Black History Month. This month is the history of jazz. And next month, we will be celebrating our Bedford-Stuyvesant Memorial Day Parade. So we want to make sure that all of you come out and celebrate the stand down. Veterans, if you're there for services, whatever you may need, it'll be out there that day on Memorial Day. Thank you so much. Have a great day to all our presenters. Thank you so much for all of you that have tuned in. Thank you even so much the more. Have a great and wonderful week and have a blessed weekend. God bless.